Hey, this is Eva with Teens in the Driver's Seat Teen Advisory Board. Thanks for attending today's session. Here are some tips to help make this session a great experience. We are committed to saving lives and reducing crashes on our roads and request each participant commit to connecting to our event from a safe location. Please do not connect while driving or operating any form of machinery. First, notice the panel to the right with several tabs. Here is where you can chat, ask questions, retrieve handouts, and see answered polls. The chat is public and you are encouraged to say hello and answer any prompts that appear there. If you have questions, post those in the Q&A window. Any handouts can be downloaded from that tab, and finally, poll questions will appear directly on your screen. The presenter invites questions. Type those into the Q&A window anytime. The prize drawing for a $50 gift card will be held at the end of the session. Make sure you stay on for that. Finally, at the conclusion of the webinar, please complete a very quick survey for this session, which will help the presenter and us improve in the future. Enjoy the session!
Sometimes I'm feeling like the whole world sounds stuff like the whole world's round. It's been enough. So all I ask for is community, for some transparency and true love. And every time I've thought this through, the past things they seem wrong. No, 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 you're not my favorite.
Hello and welcome to the TDS Summit. Our presenter today is Gaby Kolodzy on the topic of pedestrian and bike safety. Gaby Kolodzy is the principal investigator for the Texas statewide Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Education for High School Age Youth project. The project focuses on reducing the number of pedestrian and bicyclist injuries and deaths for youth by incorporating educational resources into the well-established Teens in the Driver's Seat program. Ms. Kolodzy serves as the Central Texas and Colorado Regional Representative for Teens in the Driver's Seat, where she delivers presentations and assists with project development. Ms. Kolodzy has extensive experience in electronic communication conceptualization, collaborating, producing, and managing a wide range of multimedia content. Her passions include social media, cross-sector collaboration, and education to support vulnerable road users. Please help me welcome Gaby.
Hello, my name is Gaby Kolodzy, and I'm an associate transportation researcher with the Texas A&M Transportation Institute. Some of you may know me as Gabby, the Central Texas Regional Rep and Colorado Regional Rep. I appreciate the opportunity to deliver this presentation for the first time. We at Teens in the Driver's Seat started a pedestrian and bike safety initiative 6 years ago for our San Antonio, Texas schools, and since then have grown into more cities. Now we offer our educational toolkit and online resources to make raising awareness about pedestrian and bike safety fun and easy for schools. The Pedestrian and Bike Initiative is part of Teens in the Driver's Seat. It is with funding from the Texas Department of Transportation that the TDS program can provide pedestrian and bike safety materials and support throughout the state of Texas. And funding from Union Pacific has made it available to provide materials in those regional states, including Nebraska, Colorado, Oklahoma, and California. But we also have some great deliverables online and virtual resources for those other states around the nation. So with that, I'll get started. Thank you all for attending today's session, and please participate in the chat. I look forward to answering your questions at the end. So why is it important for us to discuss pedestrian and bike safety? Well, in 2019, 1 out of 5 fatal traffic crashes involve pedestrians or bicyclists. Although the fatalities did decrease in 2019, both pedestrians and bicyclist injuries increased. Our goal is to help reduce the number of pedestrian and bicyclist injuries and fatalities for not just this year, but for generations to come and into your future. Please type in the chat if you've ever been a pedestrian. So I'll take this moment for you guys to find the chat function if you haven't used it already. And please let me know if you've ever been a pedestrian, yes or no. Yeah, this is a trick question. That's probably everyone here today. We in the traffic safety field know we have a problem. Every 88 minutes, a pedestrian is killed on our nation's roads. That's right, in just a minute and a half, our nation experiences a pedestrian loss of life. Walking is the basic form of transportation, and we are all pedestrians at some point of the day. Whether it is walking to school, in the parking lot, around the block, maybe you're sharing the road with cars, trucks, bicyclists, and trains. This is such an important issue because in the last decade, there has been an increase in pedestrian fatalities by 44%. For my Texas folks, we have some good data from TxDOT's Crash Records Information System to show you exactly where teen pedestrian fatalities are occurring most. 5 Texas counties made the list of the 25 counties with the highest annual pedestrian fatalities from 2014 to 2018. These counties are Tarrant, Dallas County, Harris County, Travis County, and Bexar County, according to NHTSA. The data also tells us that a majority of the teen pedestrian fatalities in Texas occur in dark lighting conditions, so at night. But enough about the data. You probably want to know why this is happening, and as the session did explain, what are the rules of the road? But before I cover that, I have an activity for those of you watching. Feel free to put your answer in the chat. I'll give you a minute to identify what's unsafe in this picture. All right, minute starts now. So look for that chat area. Of course, my phone rings during the recording. And can you identify what's unsafe in this picture? So type that in the chat, tell us, what they're doing, who they are. What have you found? All right, a couple more seconds. And we're going to run through the different ones that we put in here for y'all to learn more about, the unsafe behavior out on our road system. So maybe y'all caught this. This girl is driving distracted. Do you see her in the front seat holding her phone? What about this girl in the back? She's walking distracted. She has her headphones on and she's looking down at her phone. So she can't hear the traffic around her, someone coming up behind her. She's the distracted walker in the back. Did you guys catch that this bicyclist is not wearing a helmet? What about this guy in the front? Yeah, that one was pretty obvious. He's down at his phone. You can see the phone light glaring up at him, right? How about this one? This one was a little more tricky. So if you're not a bicyclist, maybe you don't know where to ride your bike on the road, especially when you're sharing it with buses and cars. This person's in the middle of the street when really they're supposed to be to the far right, to the curb, or in the bike lane. So you see the white bike going striped there on the far right. She's supposed to be riding in. Please tell me you guys caught the jaywalker. The girl in this blue vest here, there's a crosswalk right ahead of her and she decided to cross in the middle of the street. So she's mid-block crossing. And there was one more. So you may or may not have caught this. It's that the bicyclist does not have a red reflector or red light or a white light on the front. This is supposed to depict a nighttime, scenario, scene, and she's not riding with the white light or red reflector. But I'll get into some more of that later and really what the rules of the road are. I just thought that was a fun activity for you to participate in the chat, and hopefully you learned something new. Now let's get into the rules of the road. And as a caveat, this project has identified the rules in the state of Texas, but I do encourage you to review the rules in your own state and even your own local jurisdictions, as they can be different. But this is great safety awareness knowledge for everybody. Pedestrian and bicycle safety is important for all road users and is not just a problem to be addressed by pedestrians or bicyclists. Teen driver distraction is the top risky behavior which can cause a crash and can cause a crash with a pedestrian. In Texas, texting and driving is illegal. And you know by now how impactful a crash can be on friends and families involved in a crash. Both drivers and pedestrians need to stay focused on their primary task. Walking distracted with your mind buried in your phone or text conversation deters your focus from the primary task of walking, watching for vehicles, listening to traffic, seeing signs and signals, and making eye contact with a driver. So what we encourage you to do as a driver and a walker is enjoy the drive, enjoy the walk, take a breath, and pay attention to what's happening around you with all the infrastructure in place, following the signs and signals and looking for the other road users as well. Visibility. As road users, we need to be aware in dark conditions. According to NHTSA, in 2018, 76% of pedestrian fatalities occurred at night, and most pedestrian fatalities occurred between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11:59 p.m. So let's be more vigilant about visibility. In the chat, what's one thing you can do or wear to be better seen at night? Love to hear what you guys have to offer there. Maybe some tricks that you've done to be better seen at night. For example, say you're walking to a friend's house or you're leaving a concert. What have you been able to do to be seen? And as a driver, we need to be on lookout for pedestrians at crosswalks and intersections. People don't always carry reflective items or lights on them when walking at night. And this is why we should always drive alert and be cautious for our vulnerable road users. All right, crosswalks. This is my last topic around pedestrian safety, and I could share much more, but we just don't have the time today. First, can you answer me this question in the chat? True or false? Are there crosswalks in both of these pictures? Check them out. True or false? Put in the chat. Okay, if you answered true, then you are correct. Crosswalks are marked or unmarked locations within intersecting roadways where vehicles must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. Texas law defines a marked crosswalk as a pedestrian crossing that is designated by surface markings, and an unmarked crosswalk as an extension of a sidewalk across intersecting roadways. So marked crosswalk is in the top left, unmarked crosswalk is at the bottom right. To elaborate, unmarked crosswalks are any area of intersection that forms a straight line on one side of the road to the other, and therefore drivers should yield to pedestrians at intersections. Crosswalks are marked mainly to encourage pedestrians to use a particular crossing. As you can see, though, there are unmarked crosswalks that a pedestrian should use. At all crosswalks, both marked and unmarked, it is the pedestrian's responsibility to be cautious and alert before starting to cross the street, right? Look, left, right, left. You've heard that before. But these are supposed to be safe places for pedestrians to cross. So for drivers, These are places you need to yield to pedestrians. According to NHTSA in 2018, 74% of pedestrian fatalities happened where pedestrians did not cross at an intersection. So this is known as mid-block crossing or jaywalking. Yeah, 74%. So as a pedestrian, you must yield the right of way to a vehicle if crossing a roadway at a place other than a marked crosswalk or an unmarked crosswalk at an intersection. And unfortunately, if you are hit or injured in a crash where you're crossing mid-block, you could be found liable or not receive any, insurance help. So you're gonna cross at crosswalks, right, everybody? We're gonna cross at marked and unmarked crosswalks. All right, I wanna move on to our second subject, which is bicycle safety. Nationally, 846 bicyclists were killed and another 49,000 were injured in 2019, according to NHTSA. And bicyclist deaths occur most often in urban areas, about 78%, compared to rural areas, which is 22%. That isn't to say if you live in a rural area, you shouldn't do bicycle safety awareness. People travel to cities. Maybe you have a trip planned to Austin or a city this summer and want to rent a bike. These rules pertain to everyone. And at some point in your life or friends, they may decide to ride a bicycle or drive in a heavy populated city with many bikes. And we want everyone to be prepared. Again, for my Texas folks, we have some good data from TxDOT's CRIS system. So to show you exactly where teen cyclist fatalities are occurring most, unfortunately, Texas is ranked 3rd in the US for bicyclist fatalities. That's according to NHTSA. And from the map here, you can see what I mean about how they're mostly occurring in urban areas. So the cluster of yellow dots is happening in our largest Texas cities, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. The data also tells us that a majority of the teen bicyclist fatalities in Texas occur in daylight conditions, which is opposite from pedestrian crashes. So thinking back to when you last saw a teen on a bike, what time of day were they riding? Was it to come back from school, or maybe they're going to a friend's house on the weekend? But it's majority happening during daylight hours. Now let's get into the rules of the road for bicyclists and those sharing the road with bicyclists. I have another true/false question for you in the chat. Please answer true or false. Do bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as motor vehicle drivers? Just want to test how much you all know here. True or false? One more second. Do bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as motor vehicle drivers? If you answered true, then you are correct. Bicyclists have the same rules and responsibilities as drivers. That means that you must stop at red lights and stop signs, just like if you were driving a vehicle. Bicyclists must yield to pedestrians in crosswalks and pay attention to lane markers. And as Texas law states, bicyclists must ride on the street near the curb, traveling in the same direction as traffic. Drivers, you have a responsibility to pass bicyclists at a safe distance, treating them as you would any other vehicle. Another important aspect to sharing the road is to be as predictable as possible and use proper signals when you want to stop or turn. This is important to know as a driver also. So when you see a bicyclist, you know where they're going. For a left turn, stretch out your left arm to the left. For a right turn, you may stretch out your right arm to the right or use your left arm to make a 90-degree angle up with your elbow, as the image shows. And lastly, for a stop, hold your left arm downward. And although it's not a law in Texas, the recommended safe passing distance is 3 feet or more. So please, drivers, give them that space. Although we saw a majority of teen bicyclist crashes occurring in daylight, there are some that happen at night. And it's required in the state of Texas to have a white light on the front of your bike and a red light or red reflector on the back of your bike. Please, please, please make sure you have this. I know it's sunnier longer now, and when fall rolls back, it's dark by 6:30 p.m. and you'll be glad you put those lights on your bike to be seen at night. So bicyclists, please increase your visibility. You could do this by putting reflective items also on your clothing and your helmet. Definitely wear a helmet. And drivers, always be on the lookout for bicyclists. I appreciate you all listening to some rules of the road, and hopefully you learned something new today. Now is the time to reflect on how you can change to help reduce pedestrian and bicyclist crashes in your community, how you can make change. So, but of course, teens in the driver's seat wanted to help make that fun and easy for you. So we've created our toolkit of activities. These are activities that you can conduct at your school or at an event to increase pedestrian and bike safety awareness. Additionally, some of these can be done virtually, and we're working on developing new items for you each year. All these interactive activities can count towards the TDS All-Stars, and some require an activity form and some do not. Our bingo relay race game has hands-on learning games, and that's one where you learn about signs, signals, and behavior. Our distracted walking obstacle course is seen in the picture in the top right, and that's a way to facilitate a conversation about safe walking practices while also having fun and making it competitive. I'd highly encourage you to do our distracted walking observation activity. This is where we do a pre-observation phase where you observe your peers maybe walking from walking to school or walking from the parking lot, and are they walking distracted? Then you do the outreach phase, 3 weeks in between, trying to shift behavior to people to be more safe walking in your community. And then you do your post-observation phase. And at the end of that, we're rewarding a $50 gift card to our Texas and Union Pacific regional schools. And we have some other opportunities, right? We have some Kahoots. We encourage you creating banners, but you'll also get that in the print toolkit with banners, yard signs, and a final banner. So with that, I look forward to seeing your activities around pedestrian and bicycle safety this year and in the coming years. And we'll probably see a lot of new creative ideas from you all. Thank you for listening and participating in today's session, Street Smarts. This is me, Gaby Kolodzy, and you may also follow us on social media. We're at Youth Walk Bike on Twitter and Youth Walk Bike Save on Instagram and Facebook. You may or may not know this, but May is Bike Safety Month, so definitely check out our social media to see some educational and awareness content that you can share. And if you want this presentation or our extended version with an interactive elements, please reach out to your regional rep who will help deliver the presentation virtually. And I just want to conclude with saying this. It's so important for us to be mindful of how we treat others on our roads. Driving a car is just one mode of transportation, and there are others using the road to get to school, to get to work, to get to their doctor appointments. And it's a personal choice to follow and respect the rules of the road so everyone can get to where they're going safely. Thank you. Bye.
This is Nikki Fletcher with the TDS Teen Advisory Board. A quick thank you to our presenters and to you for attending this session. Congratulations to the prize winner. You will receive your gift card in the email used to register for the summit. A recording of the session will be available tomorrow. And don't forget to take the survey. Have a great rest of your day.